Hello everybody, and today is the third episode of PC for Dummies. So today we're going to be talking about PC maintenance, so how to keep your PC in good health. So you might not seem like a big one, but it's a very big one actually. It's one of the most important things for your PC, to make sure it's in good health. And it might seem hard, but it's pretty easy. It should not be hard. Most of it isn't hard. There are maybe one or two things you might have to look up how to do, but other than that, it's just how to keep it in good health and make sure how to check up on it and see if it is. Okay, so I'll go and grab a PC from here. What one will I grab? Yeah, I'll grab this one. So when I mean PC health, I mean to make sure it's at its top performance, so that it's performing as good as it can be. Now over time, of course, it is going to get slower over time, but I'm going to show the ways to prevent that, and also how to just generally keep it in good health as well. So the one thing, probably the most important thing, or the worst thing for PCs, it's PC's enemy, is dust. Dust is the worst thing on a PC. All PCs have dust in them, but whenever you see dust, you want to clean that. And the reason is because PC parts get very hot sometimes. Like parts of your PC are going to get very hot, because your CPU and your GPU, they get the hottest. That's why some PCs have, you might see, with loads and loads of fans. And yeah, they get very hot, and as dust gathers up, it affects two types of things: the fans, and it affects the heat. More dust, more heat. First thing with the fans, the more dust is on the fans, the harder the fan has to work, because the dust can sometimes be weighing the fan down, and sometimes it's blocking some air from coming in and blocking the air vents into the PC, and that's one of the bad things. So always clean your dust around the fans. Second of all, always clean dust off the parts. So when I mean parts, I mean like clean off the top of your, for example, maybe the top of your GPU, the bottom of it, the fans. Maybe you don't really have to do your RAM, maybe once in a while. The sides of the case, like for example in this bit just here, maybe get a top, bottom there. Don't do the motherboard. Leave the motherboard fine. The motherboard's fine. Don't touch that motherboard. Like you might in some places, but I just wouldn't touch it. I'd rather. Plus, not much dust really gets on the motherboard. Maybe a little bit. And if it is, make sure that it's not like circuitry or anything on it, like little things you'll see on it. Make sure it's on like flat metal surfaces where there's nothing. It's just flat. And yeah, so the dust will gather on the parts. It'll get hotter. That's bad, cause the parts get very hot anyway. They might go to, at most, they could go up to 70 degrees, 80 degrees occasionally. Never really. That's only if you're really doing like a stress test or something. It would never go to 80 degrees while playing the game. If you're doing stress tests, it might go to 80 degrees, maybe, but that's not very likely. It might only go to 70 or 60. But more dust on it, and the more heat gathers in it. So as heat comes in, it's harder for it to escape, because the heat's getting in very easily, but it's making it harder to come out. So it's like you're wrapping, the dust is like a blanket, and you're wrapping warm. It's basically like climate change, except on a part. So for example, the Earth, as more dust gets onto your part, it's like wrapping one blanket around for one sheet of dust all around your part. That's like one blanket. But it's not actually the thickness of a black blanket, but over time it will add up to be like blankets and blankets wrapped around. So lots of heat, it's heating up a lot, and potentially they'll overheat. So that's one thing. The next thing would be driver updates. So, well, no, driver updates and Windows updates. So driver updates are, so there'd be a few different types. There's the GPU ones, chipset, and motherboard drivers, all them. So the GPU drivers are, if you don't know what drivers are like updates for your parts. And having the latest drivers means more performance. So when you first get a PC, you want to make sure, go on, for example, for GPU, if it's an NVIDIA one, go to GeForce Experience, I think it's called. Go into the NVIDIA website, go to the drivers, download, select your graphics card, download the drivers. Chipset, I think you have to go to your motherboards, the manufacturer of your motherboard. For example, this is an Asus ROG one. I go to Asus ROG website for that. Same, that's for the chipset really. Then there's Windows updates. Make sure to put Windows the most updated. Just make sure it is. Oh, and one more. Be very careful when you're doing these. These are the most important BIOS updates. So BIOS, your BIOS, if you don't know, your BIOS is like where everything can be controlled, where every single part can be controlled and to a different thing. Not many people really go into the BIOS. You can if you like, when you're just turning on a PC, when you're turning on, keep pressing the delete key and you go into the BIOS. If your own experience, I wouldn't recommend going into it, but yes, every part can be controlled there, and occasionally you don't have to really, but if you notice your PC getting slower slightly, you might need to update your BIOS. And it's kind of just controlling every part, but be extremely careful when you're doing this. Make sure when you're doing any update actually. For Windows updates, they're just updating Windows. If you have Windows, which about 90% of people do, or 95% of the people who use PCs have Windows, make sure you have your Windows updated. Then if you have something like Linux, I don't really know much about Linux. I think there should be updates for that. But yeah, make sure you're not in danger of any power cuts or anything when you're doing a BIOS and a Windows update, especially a BIOS update, because it could, especially with the BIOS one, it could break your computer or your PC if the power just goes off, or if you turn it off. Never turn them off during a BIOS update, ever, as it can destroy your PC. And that's not good, and it might cost a lot of money to fix. Or if you fix it yourself, it could be very hard to fix anyway. And next of all is to put your PC in the right place where you're actually putting it. So also put your PC in the right place. When I mean that, I mean to have, see all these little things here, like there's a vent there, go over around here, all vents there. If I put on this thing, put this on, the vents all, I think there's some vents around the sides of this. You see loads of vents. Oh, one on top as well. Make sure they are exposed. And that, never put a PC in like a cabinet or something. I wouldn't do that. That's just breathing grounds for dust, and you won't get airflow. You need air to be constantly flowing around your PC. I know dust could be in the air, but it's better than having no airflow. You need airflow, or your PC will just overheat and turn off and potentially break. But yeah, so what I would recommend is to have it in an open space, and make sure if you are putting up against a wall to maybe leave a little bit of space. If you're going up against a wall, just say this back bit is up against the wall, I'd leave about 3 inches of space at minimum. 3 inches for these back ones. If there's a fan, I'd put about 30 centimeters maybe, or about 20 centimeters of room. Yeah, about 7 inches or 7 or 8 inches or 20 centimeters, just the area or space. Cause if there's a fan, it needs to be exposed to even more. If there are air vents like this, they don't matter as much. I'd just leave about 3 or 4 inches for them. These, for where if there's a fan, about 20 centimeters. Just make sure none of the air vents are put up against the wall with air, because you need to have a good bit of air flowing around your PC to keep it cool. And yeah, I don't think there's any more. Oh yeah, a few little things to keep also, just to know if you have the right place for your PC. First of all, good place to put your PC, out on a desk, very good, where there's exposed, at least 4 of the sides are exposed. Maybe one of the sides, that might be okay. Even a few inches if there's an air vent on that bit. In like a cupboard or something like that, or maybe on the floor or on a carpet. Maybe don't. If you have it on the floor, I just make sure with the surface you put your PC on that it has it's been cleaned before you put it on it, just so there's less dust. And anywhere near where your PC might be taking air in from make sure all the dust around the walls and the floor, not the floor, your desk. If it's the floor, I might wash the floor, maybe just wash the floor, maybe just to make sure there's no dirt getting into it, no dust. Yeah, I recommend putting a PC on the desk actually. And if it's on the floor, just make sure it's exposed to air and it's the very same, it's fine. If it's locked away if it's been put away in like a cupboard or up on a big shelf or something like that. Actually, a shelf might be okay, depends where it is though. Yeah, if it's just put up if it's in something, like, yeah, a cupboard or something like that, take it out of there. I would take it out, or make sure it is extremely clean and there's loads of bits where air flowing into it. But other than that, just take it out, and that's your last option. If you can't take it out, just make sure there's a lot of air can get into it, and maybe leave the door open while your PC's on. And that should be it. So yeah, if you're recommending how often to clean your PC, I'd say for a PC, depends how dusty your room is, or the room is. If you're starting to notice a good bit of dust if it's a very dusty room, maybe once a month, once or twice, maybe once a month. If it's kind of just a normal room, normal amount of dust gets in it, about every 2 or 3 months. And if your room has pretty much no dust at all, which is very unlikely, you might only have to do it every few months, maybe 5 months. I'd often just go around and just give it a little spray. I'd often just do that anyway. Even like every few weeks, I'd just do it anyway, just to keep it in best health it can be. And yeah, if you notice your PC starts to overheat, maybe if your PC is overheating, maybe just put it in a different place. If it's overheating with the place you have it, put it in a different place. See if that changes anything. If not, it could be, you might have to get that checked. It could be fans or something like that. You have to get that checked. If it's just randomly overheating, it's probably fans. Or yeah, and make sure there's no dust in it as well if it's just randomly overheating. But that is it, I think. I don't think there's any more to cover. No, I think that's it. That's all PC. I'll follow all them steps. PC have been best health you've ever seen the best health you've ever seen a PC in. Oh, for a laptop as well. Laptop, they're not as big, not as much dust gathers in them. Yeah, for a laptop, you only have to do it once a year. Cause even for a PC, you might only have to do it every 6 months, even to a year. I do it every month or so though, or every few weeks even. About every 2 months I do it. But yeah. So that is that. Also for a laptop, yeah. Laptop doesn't really matter where you put it, really. Because laptops are meant to be portable. They're designed like that. Doesn't really matter where a laptop is. As long as it's not in some big dusty, like, cupboard or something like that. But yeah, laptops are a lot easier to keep. They're very easy. Also, one more thing. It's very weird. I don't know why. I don't even think anyone really knows why. But it's kind of like the more expensive your PC is, almost like the more dust and all that affects it, and the more airflow it needs. It's very weird. I don't know. Also, the more fans you have, you might need a bigger space because all the fans will be taken in there. You don't want the fan just be taken in pure dust. That's not good. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed. Remember, even if from this video or any of my other videos, if you want me to go over anything, I will, because now's the time, because after I finish the series I won't be repeating any of them, so I won't be going over anything again. So now's your chance. If you really want me to go over something again, I happily will. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing else to cover, and yeah, I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.